When I first got into video, I didn't really know what a director did. I thought that directing was literally having a camera and pointing it at the actors and or subject and kind of just coming up with an idea to make something dope. That worked for a while. I did 2 short films, one at the end of 2013 called The Crack, and then I did another one at the top of 2014 called Regrets, and we premiered it in February 2014. Shortly after that, I attempted to make a 3rd short film called It's Your World. I still have the script to this day. It never got made. I tried to shoot it twice. Failed miserably. It was really my first ego check in the cinematic space. For the next 2 years, I spent time working with directors, good ones, bad ones, mediocre ones, but I learned a lot. I actually learned what a director actually does, and I think that's where I sort of made my bones as a director, by watching other people, seeing these other experiences. And at the time, I was focusing solely on shooting, so I was DPing projects for directors around Detroit. So with that being said, I wanted to go over a few aspects of what I think actually makes a director. A director. You have to have a vision. A film is made up of a group of creatives. You have actors, you have writers, you have cinematographers, you have also technical people, you have wardrobe stylists, production designers, musicians, you have all of these different people that come together. And the director is the filter in which all of these aspects come together under one vision. So having a clear vision is, to me, probably the most important aspect of being a director. Whether you're on a commercial, or you're on a short film, or you're on a feature film, or you're on an art film, the director is the person where the buck stops. And that's important. You have to be able to communicate effectively. And I always say that directing is not the most creative job. It is more of a people job. It's a communication job. It's more like managing a bunch of personalities, and I'll get into that later. But you have to be able to, communicate your vision, but also too, you have to be able to communicate what certain crew members are saying to one another, because you might have your DP and your gaffer, just say if they don't work together a lot, you might have your DP and your gaffer, they might not be on the same page. So you have to be able to bring them together and get them on the same page. When times get tough or those days are long, you're in the 16th hour of a long shoot where nobody's getting paid, you have to still be able to communicate effectively with empathy, with compassion, and also manage that balance of being firm, but also not being too abrasive to the point to where you're turning everybody off. A director troubleshoots or leads the troubleshooting effort when it comes to issues or problems on set. It is important that you know enough about everything. Just enough. You don't have to be an expert on every level, but as long as you know enough and you're willing to make decisions, because when things go wrong on set, everybody's gonna be asking you questions. So you're gonna have issues like that where things pop up. You're gonna have scheduling issues. You might have scripts changing on In a Sentimental Mood. We changed about 60% of the script as we were shooting, because there were just a lot of things that were happening in that environment, in the location, that we just didn't anticipate. You have to be able to, or you have to be willing to troubleshoot without panicking. And that is an invaluable skill as a director, and quite frankly, that's not something that I've always been great at, but it's something that I've developed over time since I've been doing it for 10 plus years. All right, so this is probably the most difficult thing to do when it comes to directing, and that's managing all of the different personalities and eccentricities. So when you're on a film set, I would say film set is like full of misfits, right? So our company name is called Misfitted. So I'm not saying that from a judgment standpoint. I'm saying that we're all kind of weird in our own special ways, right? And so you have different people from different walks of life, different political views, different philosophies on cinema, especially in a place like Detroit on like paid jobs and things like that. Just say like commercials, because you have these, it's very much like you work with who's available, right? And so you might have you might have a gaffer who is more assertive when it comes to making decisions for a DP. Not every DP loves a gaffer to make decisions for them. Some DPs are like, hey, I want you to light it the way I told you to, but then you have some DPs who are relaxed. You have to be able to make sure that you're staying tapped in with the morale of the set. That's very, very important, because managing those personalities is either going to hurt you or it's going to pay off in the long run when things get tough, and things are going to get tough. I have not been on a shoot of consequence where things haven't gotten tough. It's not simply about putting out a fire, but it's about understanding where they're coming from, because sometimes you could be on set and people could be right, you know? Like, it's not just a matter of like pacifying, but you have to be able to effectively communicate with people and make sure that you understand that every person has a different set of needs, and the way in which you approach those needs can shift. Well, I would say the last thing, and this is last but not least, is that your job as a director is to create a healthy environment for everybody on set. The morale, the mood, the tone of the set, it starts with you. So if you come to set with an attitude, or you're not happy to be there, then nobody else is going to be happy to be there. And sometimes that even takes like, hey, like you might be happy to be there, and then other people might have attitudes or whatever. You cannot allow that to affect you, because what I've learned is that even if people aren't in the best mood, or they're like upset because we have a 14-hour day today, as long as you stay positive and you stay focused on accomplishing the thing, I think that people feed off of that energy. That energy is contagious. The creatives on the set, whether they're the technical creatives or the producers, and especially the actors, need a healthy environment to be able to thrive. And in my opinion, the only way you can create a healthy environment on set is to make sure that you're doing that self-work outside of set. Film, as I said, is a social industry. Of course, we're creative. We do a lot of technical things, but it's social. So if it is social, you have to make sure you're okay before commandeering a set. If you're bringing baggage and things like that, then that's going to affect the environment that you're creating. Instead of pointing to the skill or the effort of people, I would say firstly, look at yourself and ask yourself, are you coming to the set as your best self? And if you can't answer that honestly and clearly, then make sure that you're whatever you need to do. You know, whether you need to work out before you go to set, whether you need to meditate, whether you need to pray, whatever you need to do, you know, make sure you eat, make sure you're hydrated. These things will contribute to how you maneuver on the set. So that's all I got for today. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe. Give a kid a camera. Peace.